Guys, feeling strong? You about to flip tires at Amazon? No? God, I missed that.
We'll be back soon. We'll be back soon.
Hi, I'm Nalie, and welcome to the Nalie Show, where I help you beat your battles and be the best version of you. Were you ever bullied as a child? I remember growing up and the kids would call me Chinese, even though I'm Filipino. But that's as far as it would go. But I do remember feeling a little left out because I was different. Now as adults, bullies are a little less obvious and they don't always come in the shape of your high school jock. Your bully could be your job, your boss, your parents, or maybe that little voice in your head that tells you you're just not good enough. Basically anything or anyone that you're scared of that's preventing you from living your dreams or being who you truly are, well, that's your bully. My bully is cancer, but we both know I'm not letting that take over. Today I am joined by Amen. I love Amen. He is probably the most passionate and inspiring speakers and entrepreneurs that I know. CEO and founder of Amen Zone Fitness and This by Amen. His presence makes me want to just flip tires despite being really weak right now. There is nothing this man can't do, and that is what he tries to teach you. Amen is currently doing his stand up and speak tour. It's an anti-bullying campaign that teaches self-esteem and self-confidence in children. Together, we will give you 5 tips to never let life bully you. You're gonna wanna watch this one because Amen just makes me feel like he's on his way right now, so we'll see you soon. What can I get you to drink?
A glass of water, please. Shaking, not stirring.
I already gave them an intro of what you do. There's just too much to say because you do so much for the community. But one thing you're doing right now is the Stand Up and Speak tour.
Absolutely.
Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. Well, the Stand Up and Speak tour is really the fight against the bullying that happens in school. Everybody knows very well that, you know, the kids that go to school, they go to school to learn. Some of the best kids, or like I said best kids, I mean kids that go in with the best intentions, they don't expect to be bullied. And bullies happen in so many different ways right now. And this, like anybody that's victimized in any way, the first thing they want to do is keep it to themselves. They don't want to talk about it. Yeah. So they needed a voice. And I figured I would be the voice this time. Instead of talking about making a difference, I wanted to actually go out there and make a difference. So I decided to start up a school campaign, a school tour. So I'm in Montreal right now, stopping the schools and giving speeches, but more than anything, empowering these kids to stand up and speak. And
how are they reacting so far?
Very well. You know, you would think the high schools would be more of a challenge, but they're teenagers and they think they're so cool. I say to them, I said, you know what, if you think about bullies, one of the things you don't see is them actually owning the fact that they're bullies. You don't see a bully walking around saying, I'm a bully. No. You don't see them wearing any hats. Let's expose them for who they are and see how well they accept it.
Do they tend to even know they're bullies?
You know what, the thing about bullying is if they don't know, I want to let them know that what they're doing is unacceptable. I think that's part of the effort that I'm making, is to educate both the bullied and the bully. I think in some respects they're both victims because the bullies tend to repeat their experiences. Yeah. And I find a lot of bullies are actually good people. They just they come from tough backgrounds and they extend their insecurities and fears, and it comes out in a very aggressive and adversarial way. But if you actually get to take the time to actually tell them that there's a line you can't cross and hold them accountable to it, I think it's about time we make it front and center. One
thing you said in the questionnaire that I make my guests fill out before coming on the show, you wrote something that really struck a chord with me. You wrote that life can be a bully. Right. And just that simple phrase said so much to me. What did you mean by that when you said life can be a bully?
You know, life can be a bully depending on your perspective on life. You know, if you walk out of the house knowing that you're going to take charge, you will take charge. But if you walk out leaving life to take control of you, then it can be a bully. Growing
up, like, to become this great Amen that you are today, how did you find that confidence? How are you able to speak in this way with such?
You know what's funny? Life is interesting. Like I said, it depends on your perspective on life. Right now, listen, I had a stutter problem when I was a kid.
Really?
It's ironic that I would now.
And now you're a speaker.
You know, I had a really bad stutter problem. And I couldn't speak. Like if I was passionate about something, I couldn't get the words out. If I was upset about something, I couldn't get the words out. So I fought a lot.
Like physically?
Yeah. You know, I would fight for my point of view, but if I ever got into an argument and I couldn't get my words out, I'm like, okay, that's it, enough talking, because I can't talk.
So wait a minute, were you the bully back in the day?
Never.
Okay.
I was never a bully, but I knew how to defend myself if I was gonna be bullied.
Okay.
So I think the first step for a person that feels like they're bullied is actually to, you know, speak to someone that can help them out. But in my case, when I was younger, I stood up and did what I wouldn't advise anybody to do, because I've always been a big kid. So if someone decided they want to pick on me, it might be a bad day for me. Because I had to start a problem, I had a hard time really getting my point across. So I had to learn how to do that.
Okay.
And you know, one of the things I did was I would play visually in my head, you know, the confidence. I would listen to somebody else speak and I wonder how they're able to get their words out so easily. And I would practice and practice and practice, and eventually I got a hold of my, even now to this day I still stutter, but you won't pick it up.
And so you always had that determination as a child?
Oh, absolutely.
And where do you think that came from?
You know, it came from my parents.
Okay.
They, my parents are African parents, and I'm sure most parents, depending on what their background is, the same thing. They just didn't have a lot of tolerance for excuses.
Okay.
You know, so my father taught me not to really recognize my excuses. He would even say to me, he'd say, you know what, your excuses are justifiable. They're great excuses, but what is it going to do for you? You know, I'm not saying that it isn't a great excuse, but what I'm saying is, what does he get back for you?
Back to, you know, this whole concept that life can be a bully. What bullies you?
You know what, it's all relative to the person, right? So for me, the bullying is, I'm a very ambitious person. And I tend to find that the fear of failing can be a bully, because it's constantly there. It's like a shadow. And so you either got to stand up to it or cower and let it take over, you know? So life happens depending on where you put your energy. So if I place my energy on the fear rather than the ability that I am going to overcome this challenge, it goes where I put my focus, right?
Exactly.
So I find that a constant fear, because I'm constantly reaching to do better every day, every month, you know, every year. I'm trying to be a better person, trying to do more. I find that fear is an illusion, even though it's a bully. It's an outright illusion, because every time I stand up and go after it, I always win. You know, I might go over some challenges along the way, but I always win. I literally talk to myself that way. So you read all these memes on social media.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, it's easy enough to write about courage, and this is one of the reasons I'm so excited when I see your posts and your videos, right? Is because it is one thing to talk about courage, right? It's another thing to be courageous. A lot of people talk about having faith, but how do you really react when it's time to show faith? There's a distinction between talking and acting. When I went to see you in the hospital, for example, like I was so touched by it, because I just made you an ambassador for our men's zone. So when I heard the news, it was shocking to me. Like, so when I came to see you at the hospital, in my head I was thinking you'd be laid out. You know what I mean? Like totally down on life kind of thing. I got there, it was like you were having a party.
I was wearing the men's zone hoodie.
I was like,
I was wearing the ambassador's hoodie. I was like, hey!
Did I get the wrong person? Is there another Nalie on my, you know? To me, I walked out of there and I had time to reflect on our meeting, and I thought to myself, now that's courage.
To be honest, that's the energy you brought in the room, and that's the energy you bring everywhere you go. So yes, I had just found out about my reoccurrence. Yes, I was waiting to undergo at that point a biopsy and the chemo. I was waiting, I was hospitalized for 7 days. But as soon as you walked in, that courage you saw came from, you know, people like you who uplift me every day, whether it's you or my boyfriend or my parents or my friends. Like, I'm just as blessed. And I think that energy you carried and that you brought at the hospital, that's the exact reason why I wanted you here on the show today, because so many people watching right now live in fear. And that concept of fear that you were talking about, that you called an illusion, is not so much of an illusion to these people, which is why I think you should give them your 5 tips. We have prepared 5 tips to never let life bully you.
That's right.
So you ready?
I'm ready. So my number 1 tip, it's important to know who you are. You have to be rooted in some kind of premise. You have to have a moral compass that you hold dear to yourself, and you never ever compromise. Because life's gonna want to throw you that blow where you have to change your views and your philosophy. But you know who you are and never waver from that fact. That's my #1 tip. Know yourself.
How do you know who you are? I was asked that by a kid when I did a talk, and it was like a 5 or 6-year-old girl, and she's like, "But how do I know who I am?" And I was like, let's ask him then.
Hey,
how do you know who you are?
That's an easy question for me, because life is about decisions, right? So when you think about making decisions, what is your premise? What are your principles in life that you would never be willing to compromise? Once you can identify those pillars that hold up that building that you build, which is your whole life ahead of you, once you can identify those pillars, that's your guiding principle in life, and you never ever compromise.
I'm gonna use that in my talk.
#2, we tend to compare the worst of ourselves to the best of others. In life, we got to realize that, listen, everybody has their strengths, and so do you. You know, when you look at social media right now, what you're looking is the finished product. Everybody had to do something to get there. You were just in your process of getting there. So don't compare the worst of yourself to the best of others. That's #2.
That's really hard to do, because people only see, you know, the finished product.
That's
so
right.
People are always comparing. So never ever compare yourself.
#3, listen up, champ. Self-accountability. You have to be willing to take or be accountable for the things that you do. We tend to want to, you know, take the credit for what we do well, but when things go bad, we always look for someone to blame for it. And you see a lot of people doing that. Misery loves company. Make sure you don't find yourself in that circle of misery, right? So if you do something, own it, whether it goes well or goes poorly. It's your gift. That challenge, that illusion of failure is your gift to learn and grow from. Don't give it to somebody else, it's yours.
Gosh, I already feel so empowered.
#4, begin with the end in mind. You have to see where you're going. When you get out of your house in the morning, you know where you're headed, right? Like when I got out of my house this morning, I knew I was gonna come see the beautiful, amazing, legendary Nalie, you know what's up? So I knew that. So in life, you gotta know where you're headed. You don't get out of your house and start to figure out where you're going when you get out. So know where you're going, but here's the important point about that. When you visualize where you're going, also visualize the challenges that you may face, so that when they do happen, mentally, spiritually, and emotionally, you're already prepared for it. Don't see it in its best format. See it in the event that things may go wrong. And if you're still willing to go for that vision, then you found your passion.
So do you suggest they plan every day ahead?
You know, I like to visualize my day ahead. I plan my day the night before, not the day off. I get up in the morning, I already know what's up.
It's true. Yeah. I do the same. Plan my months ahead. I have no choice.
That's right. The fifth one I think out of everything is the most important, because and the fifth one I said is this: be grateful. Because there are things you have today that you prayed for years ago. You have it now, but you're taking it for granted. I do it too, it happens to the best of us. But remember to be grateful. That sense of gratitude brings back some more gifts for you. Life works like that. Put it to the test. If you're grateful for everything, you'll be amazed how much you get back. If you ever feel like you're feeling uninspired and you don't feel like you're worth anything or there's anything to fight for, just put your hand on your heart. If that heart is beating, you have something to fight for, my friend.
Being grateful summarizes everything you just said. You can't do #1, 2, 3, or 4 without being grateful. Otherwise, your focus is on everything that's negative.
That's right.
And the only way you can move forward is if you focus on what you're thankful for.
And remember, life goes in the direction of which you focus in. So if you focus on positive things happen. Exactly. If you focus on the negative things happen. So in a way, your life is in your hands. It sounds like a cliche, but it's a fact. It really is how you want to live your life. You get up in the morning, you say, am I awesome? Or am I going to be a victim today? You pick one. Am I going to be great? Or am I going to be, you pick which one you want, and that's what happened.
Bam!
That's what's up.
5 ways to never let life bully you.
That's right.
Now, I always have my random questions.
Nerves.
It's not even that.
Nerves.
You're sitting here all confident, all big and strong in my little vlogging studio. You talk about self-esteem and confidence, but we all have something we're self-conscious about. What?
Oh boy.
Is a man self-conscious about? It's hard to believe, but we all have something. So don't lie to me.
Wait. No.
Take your time.
Okay, let me think. What am I self-conscious about? I do a pretty good job of
you
trying
do,
not to
see?
be.
That's how good he is.
No.
That's how calm
I'm trying to.
This is what we need to strive for. Like, what do I not like about myself?
It's embarrassing. I can't think of it.
It's amazing. I want to be like that. I'd be like, well, no.
If there's anything I'm self-conscious about, it really would come down to my execution when it comes to this one thing that bothers me. It's the only thing I can think of now.
Okay.
When it comes to something I'm passionate about, like this bullying campaign that I'm doing, I'm always conscious about how I perform for the kids. Did they really get the point I was trying to make? Did I drive home the point? I don't know why that just eats me up for the rest of the day until I get some feedback. I'm always concerned that I said the right things to the kids, because kids, they do as you do. You know what I mean? Yes, so because there could be consequences to that.
Well, at least we know that he practices what he preaches, and he's pretty confident, and he has that self-esteem.
I've messed up many times. That consciousness didn't happen by chance. It happens because I have messed up.
If you want to follow Amnon, his information is right over here. Check him out. We have a question for you. We want to know, what is your bully? Who is your bully? It's important that you share. I shared mine, he shares his. He even shared what he's self-conscious about. So share in the comment section below. Comment below. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you want to check out my vlogs, they're up there. If you want to watch the last episode, it's down there. Don't forget to subscribe. I release videos every Monday. Be patient, be kind to yourself.
Be confident and be fearless.
See you next week. Bye. You should prepare like you were supposed to prepare.
What was that?
Oh, someone didn't do his homework.
Oh God.